Welcome back, everyone, to Data Science for Everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about building up a step-by-step simple GDP calculator using JavaScript. Let's get started. So this guide, I'm going to kind of walk you through creating up just a simple GDP calculator, similar to if you guys are making a tip calculator, and it's going to be using JavaScript and HTML. Now, the calculator is going to allow us to use values for, again, making GDP. So consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports. And it's going to calculate gross domestic product, or GDP. So let's go on and set up our project. So first off, we want to go into our computer and we want to create up a folder. So I'm going to actually do this on, let me do it in my documents here. And I'm going to make a directory. And I'm going to call it GDP calculator. I'm going to go into that directory, and I'm going to go on and do git init to initialize a GDP repository. Okay, and so now you see here that we have this git main in there where we've initialized a git repository, and I'm going to create a README file, and I'm going to just we can actually do this inside of Visual Studio Code. So let's go on and open up Visual Studio Code inside of here. Oops, and I didn't open it up the way I wanted it to. And so now here you see we have our GDP calculator set here. So we can create up some new files, and we can also do this inside the terminal. So I'm going to open up a new terminal, and it'll open it up where we want it to. And this will just make it easier for us to make some basic files that we need. So the first basic file that we're going to need here is our README file. So I can do something like touch readme.md. And we'll also want an index.html. And we will also want just some JavaScript script. I'll just call this script.js. And if you notice here, now we have all three of our needed files in here. Now, the first thing is to put up a README file. And this one, I'm just going to say something like README. And let me just put in what I have here. And this is basically just in a description of what this project is going to be. The calculator will allow users to input values for C, I, G, and NX, again, to calculate domestic GDP. Great. Okay. Now, the next thing that we need to do with this, since we actually have created up our file here, is we need to do git add readme.md, and then we can do git commit -m. We'll do initial commit, and we'll say add readme.md. Okay, so the next thing is to set up our HTML file. And I'll go here, and I'm just going to fill it in with just some boilerplate here. And we don't need any of this, but we do need to go down here, and we can do script src, and it'll be script.js. So now everything is linked together. And then let's go on and add this in. And maybe, in the document here, we can actually write up something like GDP calculator. All right, so now we do git add index.html, and we can say git commit -m, and let's say set up initial HTML structure for GDP calculator. All right, so now all of that is in. Okay, so now I'm going to go on and open up a JavaScript file here, and I'll clear this out so we have some space. And let's go on and actually create up our function. And this is just going to be GDP calc, and it's going to take in C, I, G, in X, and then we'll have it do something. We want it to actually calculate up our GDP, so we'll do const GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus in X. And then maybe we want it to do something like console log here, and we'll say, what would we like it to say? Let's have it just do something simple, like total GDP is, and then we'll use this, and we'll say GDP, and actually this could be that. There we go. All right, and so now all we have to do in here is do something like const C is equal to, and let's maybe give it some values here, and let's do something like well, again, I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll just say something like 10 const I is equal to 23, const G is equal to 120, const nx is equal to, let's say, negative 12. Okay, and then you can do here your GDP calc C I G and X. Save this, and again, I would probably have saved this. So let me redo all of this, okay? And actually, let's change this up so that it will just return GDP. And so I would do something like this. I would do git add script.js, git commit m here in our initial implementation, implement GDP calc function. Okay, and then I would go through, and when I would actually put in some items, so then I could, put in our const C is equal to 10, const I is equal to 20, const G is equal to 120, const nx is equal to negative 12. Then you could also go through, and I would do something like git commit-m added test values for C, I, G, and X. Okay, and again here now you can see that this script has been modified. Okay, so then you're able to kind of say, all right, now I know, and then you can go on and maybe you can do what do we want here? Const GDP is equal to GDP calc C, I, G, and X. And then you can do something like a console log of this, and we'll do something like total GDP colon, and then GDP. And here we can see git commit, and again added GDP calc call with test variables. Okay. And so after we've done kind of our finalized review, we actually eventually need to push this to our console, or to our GitHub. Okay, so now we've been doing everything on Git. We need to push it to GitHub. So maybe we want to review our code. Maybe we want to add in some, let's say, some comments in here. So create function for calculating GDP using some test variables. And notice we haven't even run this to check and see if it works or not. Again, I would expect you guys to go and check and see if it works, etc. But for now, I'm just showing you guys how you would go about doing this. And again, here, calling GDP calc function, output to console. So after we've done that, we need to make sure and do our final commits if necessary. So we can do git add dot, and this is to add everything in the directory. Then we can do git commit -m, and we'll say finalize GDP calculator project. All right, and so notice here it tells us 1 file is changed, 15 insertions, 1 deletion. Again, that was all of what we changed inside of here. And then the last thing here would be to create up our repository through our GitHub website, and we want to add a remote repository and push to our local GitHub. So how we do this is actually a little bit more roundabout at this point. Okay, so we have everything kind of created. Now we can go to GitHub, and I will let me pull up my GitHub page real quickly. So here you can see my GitHub repository, and again, again, all my repositories. But you guys can go on and log into yours and create up a new repository. Okay. Now, what you need to do, and let me move back over here. You need to make sure that it's going to be exactly the same as your repository name needs to be exactly the same name as your project directory name for consistency, okay? So I'm just going to go in and copy this, okay, just so that I know that it's there. Now, I need to see, do I have a repository already named by this? I do not. So I can go over and I can go to my repositories here, and we can create up a new repository. And I'm going to click my repository name. And for here, let's say description, it's optional. Now for, like, if you guys are doing this for a school project, like I'm talking to you guys about, it needs to be public. If you want it to be private and no one can see it, then that's fine. We already have a README file, so we don't need that. We don't need to really worry about our git ignore or our licensing or anything like that. So we're going to go in and create this repository. And again, you could have done this in the beginning if you so chose. Okay, now the next thing that you want here is, again, you could set it up in the desktop, or you could get this and just copy this link here, okay? So again, here it also gives you some examples. Now what we're going to be doing now is technically this right here, okay? So you don't have to actually copy and paste or anything, but I would go through and just copy and click here, and then we will go back and we will finalize everything. So let's go, whoops, over this side, and we will do git push underscore or dash u, oops, sorry, git remote add origin and then our URL of our repository. So again, our repository was right here. So you guys would copy and click here and hit that, and then git push dash u origin master. Oh, failed to push because of some references to this. Okay. Oh, and again, some of this is part of this is because of old systems, but we should be able to do push git push dash u origin main, and that'll actually work there. Now you see that everything's submitted. Again, that master used to be the old way, and main is now the new way to do this. So now let's go back, and we should be able to go over here, and we should be able to look at our code. And notice now all of our files are there. I should be able to, again, you see our README is now updated. Our script has all of our scripts there. And again, you can, if you wanted to, you could download this, you could do anything else. And again, I would suggest that you guys go through and again, make sure that your code works or anything else. But this is just to show you guys how to upload everything to GitHub. So if you like this and you want more of this, please comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.